Good evening, cryptid fans, Bigfoot fans, Dogman, UFO, and all the above. It's good to see you tonight. Again, we have a familiar guest we had on here a couple of weeks ago is back with us again tonight for round two, and she has informed us she has made a list of stuff she hasn't talked about and that we didn't cover the first time around that she is going to converse with us about. So we're not going to have too much of an intro here. We're going to cut her loose and let her go. And we got some video tonight. Pretty interesting stuff, and a couple photos. But and I will say, Jeffrey, I'm going to go ahead and tell the world, okay, that you and I are writing a new novel. It's called A Mouse in the House, and we're spelling it HOWSE, Mouse in the House. So, anyway.
Let her in.
Tater chip.
Yeah, it's everybody headed to LBL.
No walls or flooring.
And those that are already there, I know there's a couple of people there already. Have fun, be safe, and wish we could join you. Unfortunately, we can't make that trek again. But coming soon, hopefully. Coming soon. I know Chad's going. You're leaving tomorrow, I believe?
Leaving tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning, okay. I know Bucky's not going. Kathleen's probably going, but she just hasn't told nobody yet.
I'll go.
Yeah,
Where are you going?
they're at LBL somewhere, so. But
Good evening,
anyway,
Kathleen.
it's the Woodwalkers crew. But Kathleen, it's good. I'm sorry, Danny. What'd you say?
I just said good evening, Kathleen.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good evening.
So nice to be back with you guys again.
Awesome. That's what we like to hear. But we're just, if nobody else says anything, Jeff, are you good to go? Or
Sorry, I had to mute myself because the kid was making a bunch of racket getting the dogs in the house.
Jeff had an interesting evening.
No flooring and or wall paper or anything was harmed in the removal of the mouse.
Started off with a BB gun
Red
and ended
Ryder.
with a Cricket 22 with birdshot, and one shot, and the problem was resolved.
I heard you ordered some C4 and a Claymore.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm gonna be like Caddyshack, when he's making those little plastic explosive animals and putting them all up through the
The
yard.
little plastic explosive mouse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the rat infestation on the property currently.
Wait a minute. What do you mean gonna do? You already.
You're in the process.
Never mind. That process has been going on for years with you.
Hey, Jeff, I've even got my Caddyshack hat on.
Yeah, I seen that.
Cinderella story.
It's a Cinderella
And people-
story about a lovely little area with a dude with a beard that likes to blow stuff up.
If anybody in chat has people that are mentioning they can't get in here or whatever, there was a notification when we logged in backstage that some kind of an ASI problem or something. Some people may not be able to log in here. So sorry if that's somebody that can't get in. We apologize.
Hey, Phyllis.
Out of our hands. So hi, Phyllis. And chat's chat's picking up numbers now. So hopefully we'll have everybody be able to
Hello,
get in.
Phyllis. Hello, Kevin, Robert, Wes,
But
Donald,
yeah, Don, I wish we could go to LBL.
Bobby.
too.
Hello,
It
Bobby.
was on our to-do list for sure, Jeff and I both, but it just the way it goes.
Can I?
Well, at least we have a representative that's going.
Yes, at least Chad's
At least Chad's gonna.
I've got stickers.
Chad, take notes and take lots and lots of pictures and send us a postcard.
Next Wednesday will be the debriefing show with Chad, and maybe we'll try to find one or two others to come on about that. So,
And Chad, we need physical evidence of
Yes.
Spencer falling asleep. If you could get photographic evidence.
You can't. That ruins your night. He goes to bed at like at 6 o'clock in the evening.
wow. I hope you're just kidding.
See,
No,
we
he
can
goes
get
to bed
pictures
pretty
of
early,
Wendell
though.
asleep, but we've seen that on our night chats, so we don't really need. Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, okay,
Anyway.
We're taking up Kathleen's time, and it's time.
Oh, I have plenty of time.
Okay. But the goal tonight is if you start to see that one over there, not below me, but over to the angle, start to nod off, start ringing his telephone, please. Great.
I'm sure Hillary will end up in here calling me.
She
Anyway.
might not be able to with her surgery. I don't know.
Yes,
She doesn't. She just got to ring me. She don't have to yell at me. She's probably got one of those Stephen Hawking voice
Yep.
machines she can cuss me out with.
Jeffrey, why don't you wake up?
Yeah, exactly. Everybody in chat, we appreciate you being here. I'm glad to see at least this many has made it in here without any problems getting logged in. So,
Says Brian.
Kathy,
Yeah,
please.
Sounds like we're going to get some great stories from or experiences from Kathleen tonight. I'm pretty excited.
Not stories, experience.
Yeah, I have a couple, 2 or 3 that I've never spoken about, so you'll kind of get the beginning of some things that I just have not put out in any of my other videos.
Ooh,
Awesome.
new stuff.
Just a few.
Lost records.
My wife needs to stop baking stuff. I'm not going to fit in my office chair anymore. Anyway, Kathy, please. It's all you.
Okay.
It's all about you.
For those that did not see the last one that I was on a couple weeks ago, I'm a 75-year-old lady who is trying to get all of my psychic paranormal experiences documented, since at my age you never know. And the book is almost done. I have one more chapter, which will be all about the Sasquatch beings before the book is done, which I have started working on it. And so that will be done. But mainly years ago, I was a paramedic, EMT3. I worked in emergency rooms. I have been a caregiver most of my life. And I did 17 years as a volunteer with the American Legion because I love our vets. And that's who I am as a person. And then mingling and juggling that as well as my paranormal life. So I'm going to be bringing you out some stories, like I said, some that have not been spoken of before on the internet. So you'll get a few new things and a few things I'll talk about that have been out there, but I'll maybe I'll add a little more to it for you, make it a little more interesting. But I have been psychic and had everything from abductions to ghosts to UFOs to Sasquatch to shadow beings, which I'm going to talk about one of those tonight that rang my doorbell and came in. So as a matter of fact, if you'd like, I can start there.
Sure. Hey, yeah, it sounds like a good one to me.
Yeah.
You've got some interesting stuff.
It just doesn't end, and I love it. I mean, to me, I just love it. The more, the merrier. And I even pray about getting more involved with whomever.
I'm really interested in the shadow person because my wife has seen a tall man with a hat shadow and then 3 kids shadows. So
Oh my.
I've seen just a black blob, not even of human form, at the Trans-Allegheny Asylum.
Well,
and I saw something in the woods. It was a black humanoid.
Well, the funny thing is it's taken me up until since about I'm thinking it happened about 2012, maybe 2011 when I had my condo in Florida. And I had a Australian Shepherd dog with me, and he was very unfriendly with other dogs, and he liked people, but he didn't like other dogs. And he had been through some training, so he was like an attack dog. If I needed him to, anyway, it's really bizarre what happened. I was upstairs and I had 2 friends. One was my roommate. I had 2 computers in this room, and one computer was my desktop, and I asked a neighbor to come and defrag it for me because it needed it, and I didn't know how. And he was a 6'5" gentleman, big guy who was proud to be called a Wiccan. So to me, he was pretty open-minded. And so anyway, we were up there visiting, and he was defragging, and the dog and I were up there. We were all 3 up there. The doorbell rang. Now, how a shadow being can ring a doorbell, I'm still trying to figure that out. But that's what happened. So I go downstairs, the dog's right with me, and I open the door, and something is like smoke is at the door, and my little dog just didn't growl, just sat beside me and looked at. It wasn't a bit upset, which that part surprised me because this dog just is right on. You know, he's just right on, ready to attack at any time. So this smoke, this huge 5 foot, about 5 foot smoky, so almost egg shaped, but I'm going to show you a hand drawn picture in a minute of what I tried to make of what I saw that came in. So anyway, I opened the door and I'm standing by the door, and this smoky thing comes floating in very slowly, right in front of me, right in front of the dog, and then going up my staircase. And I looked up, and my two friends were at the doorway looking out. So they both were one on each side of the door, and they saw it too.
Did it touch you?
No, I didn't actually touch it. I didn't touch it, and it didn't touch me. It just floated in front of me and just went up real slowly up my stairway.
Oh, wow.
And it kind of went between the two people standing there with their mouths open, like I'm down at the bottom. But I'm following it up because I want to know what the heck I'm seeing. And the dog, again, is just calm as a cucumber, which surprised me. And this 5 foot egg sort of shaped being floats up the stairway, and it went between my two friends, and then the balcony doors were open. I have a balcony and then a lake behind my place, and it just kind of went out the balcony and dissolved into the air. And we're all three, just our mouths are open, and we're just in shock of whatever this is that just rang the doorbell and came in and went out, you know. And I looked at my one friend, and she was just still standing there shocked. But the gentleman, that 6'5" big guy, that's you would think would be, if you claim to be Wiccan, you would understand spirits, I would think, you know, that was my thinking. But he was standing there crying. And then he looked at me, and he had tears pouring down his eyes, and he ran out of my house, and he never came back. And he didn't finish defragging. He never.
Wow.
He never said another word to me. So I don't know what he felt or what he got from that experience, but I have been trying to decide all these years, since 2012 or so, what did I see? What was the shape? Now I'm going to show you what kind of shape. I drew this. I'm not an artist, so bear with me. This is what I saw, only it was like smoke. And I could see through it, and it was moving. Now, does that look like a young Sasquatch to you?
Yeah.
Could it be a young Sasquatch? After all these years, I'm more in my mind thinking that I had an interdimensional young, those are the stairs, by the way. Yeah, so I kind of drew him as best I could, and that is what my shadow being looked like, only I could see through it, and it was movement, almost like smoke, but very, very bold, very black. I could definitely see it.
What kind of size was it, like height and width?
Height was about 5 foot, which why I say maybe a young Sasquatch, and the width was pretty wide. It was about, well, it fit between the stairs, so whatever the stair length would be, but it I'm gonna say about 4 feet. In I kind of always thought of it as an egg shaped until I sort of remembered that the head was, like I said, the head was more like, like I could tell it had a head. I could tell it was a being instead of just a big blob, So this is why I'm more and more wondering, and because I've had a couple other experiences in dream state of a young Sasquatch in my world, I'm beginning to think that's what came to my house, rang my doorbell, and floated past me and up my stairs. Now, my friend that was my roommate, she passed away a couple of years ago, and I've asked her several times, tell me what you remember. Tell me what you saw. And she just goes, I don't know what I saw, but I saw something. And that's all she'd ever say. Huh. So, and the other guy, like I said, he never would come back. And so I never got to ask him what he saw or felt. I didn't feel any harm from it. I didn't feel any darkness. I just was shocked that, first of all, a shadow being can ring a doorbell, and come into your house that way. And so there's one of my other amazing, very paranormal experiences. And like I said, I've had a couple of dreams in my life that resemble this being. So I'm assuming that these young Sasquatch have been talking to me most of my life without me realizing it, because I had not actually had contact other than when, my experiences on craft and from the other video that we did where I mentioned my Sasquatch being. But this one was black, and like I said, he looked like smoke. He just looked like moving smoke. But that was his main shape, was the little head and then the big body. So that's one of my. Now that was in Land O'Lakes, Florida. And so I suppose he's still around.
I'm sure he is.
Maybe he grew up by now. I don't know. But yeah, that I always found that really fascinating. And like I said, it's taken me many years to figure out what the heck I saw. And so I tried to draw what I saw, and that's what I came up with. And so we'll leave that one there, because that's kind of where that one ended. But
I actually saw a cloud of energy like that.
Did you? Did it have any shape that you could tell what was?
No. It was kind of like, imagine like you're watching like almost like a smoke cloud, and it just kind of appeared, and it didn't really have any like shape to it, but you could tell it kind of was moving of its own power.
Yeah, this too, and as it passed in front of me, it didn't acknowledge me. It didn't like stop and look at me. It didn't give me. It just kind of was in its own little world. It just kind of came in front of me and just moved slowly. And it floated. It was floating.
It was in my front yard.
Oh my! Yeah.
Kathleen, Kenny Hess asked, "Did you smell anything?"
No. There was nothing that I could out of the ordinary, nothing at all, other than this thing that floated in and rang the doorbell, floated in, and went upstairs and just dissolved itself, going out of the. I could actually see it dissipate as it went out the double doors out towards the lake. It just kind of just dissipated.
Wow.
So so that's one of my many other bizarre episodes. And
but you said you could see through it.
I could kind of see through it, not because it was moving, because it was like smoky and stuff. I could actually see through it, but things were moving.
It was just smoky, like moving
smoke, but it was dark. It was almost black smoke, which, and most, probably if I hadn't been so surprised, I probably would have thought it was a dark entity and gotten scared or gotten upset or something. But because of the way it came through, it was, and the dog didn't get upset, and it just seemed like it was just passing through. But it wanted me to see it, and it wanted me to open the door.
Anything at all?
Did the dog watch it?
The dog watched it. The dog stayed right with me, right on my heels. But he did not. He didn't get upset. He didn't growl. He didn't. He was looking at it. I could see he was watching it too.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That was very crazy. So I've had that shadow being experience.
Did you ever how many times did you get visited by that shadow figure?
To my knowledge, that was the only time.
That was the only time?
Yes. But in that particular house, that condo I was in, I had some experiences. I needed to get out of that place. I was feeling some bad energy in that place, so I sold it after a couple of years of being in there. I had a solid jade carved Chinese. It was like a horses with carriage behind it. It was like solid jade. It was a beautiful piece, and I had put it inside of a china cabinet in the bottom with the doors closed, and I was upstairs with this same friend that was my roommate again, and we were upstairs, and I heard this. It sounded like a bomb went off, or boom, this big boom. So we go downstairs, and I see jade across my living room floor in pieces. And I look at the china cabinet, knowing that the jade came from the china cabinet. And I looked, and the doors were closed solid. There's no way the jade got out of those closed doors. But when I opened it, the thing was in pieces. It was in 15 or 20 pieces. And I never could figure that out. I thought, well, how the heck did those pieces fly across the living room with the doors closed? And there was no cracks. There was no way. So that was kind of a bizarre thing that happened in that place. I had a few episodes there. I had to tell my daughter I had to get out of there. It just wasn't fitting good for me. So yeah, so that kind of happened there too. And but yeah, just being upstairs and hearing boom, real loud. It was very loud. So anyway, my jade thing blew up inside of a china cabinet in that place. But
it was in the cabinet. It didn't come out of the cabinet.
No. Well, yeah, the pieces, when I came downstairs, pieces were across my living room floor. That was the odd thing. How did they get out? Is what I'm saying. The doors were closed tight. And when I opened it, there were a bunch of broken pieces inside. But how did those pieces get out, across my living room? I could never figure that out. And It was a shame. Yeah, it was a shame. That was a piece my mother had left me, and it was in 100 pieces when I got done from whatever happened. But yeah, that was very
someone
bizarre.
up in the corner sent me a haunted puzzle.
Oh. Oh.
I don't know what was going on with that puzzle, but Jerry sent me a puzzle, and that puzzle was teleporting, and it would just randomly end up on the floor after I cleaned it up. There would be pieces that would just end up back on the floor.
Never mind that he has 3 or 4 dogs.
Yeah, but I only had 2 dogs at that time, and one of them was in a kennel, and the other one doesn't mess with anything.
And a child.
And he was at school.
Come on, Jeff.
Yeah, I know, because, like I said, I have no clue, first of all, why it wanted to blow up. And second of all, how it got those pieces across my living room with the doors shut tight. And
Was your china cabinet glass or were they wood? The doors?
They were wood, solid oak. They were oak. And they had no glass, nothing, they were solid and closed tight. And I even looked around the edges to see if it could have flown out. It couldn't. It was just, it went through the wood, evidently. And so that was kind of, that was very bizarre. And I was very unhappy about that. That's about the time I decided I had to get out of that place. And I had my daughter put it up for sale and moved on.
Good move.
Yeah.
I'd be getting out of there too.
Have you heard of anything happening since you moved away from that place?
No, but I saw it on the market the other day. They've remodeled it, and I paid $20,000 way back when, and it's up for $147,000 now.
Wow!
I wished I'd have kept it now, but that's the way it goes in Florida. So yeah,
definitely.
And I never go there and tell anybody what happened there. I'd let them find out.
Yeah, that's not something you have to disclose. Only murder or people dying in the house usually is what you have to disclose.
When the smoky thing came through my house, somebody when I first moved in there had told me a young man had committed suicide in the apartments, but they didn't know which one. So I never found out which one.
Probably
Nobody would ever tell me. Everybody had moved away.
Where did you see the haze or whatever? And
that was the shadow being that rang my bell. So when it first came through, I sort of thought to myself, I wonder if this is that kid, his ghost, because I've seen ghosts. I'd never seen a shadow being before. So my first thought was, is this that kid that needs to cross over? Maybe I can help him or, something, if that were the case, because I've had a little experience in that. But I don't believe it is now. The more I look at the shape of what I saw, and
Green.
Yeah, I think it was a young Sasquatch trying to get my attention. They've been trying to get my attention for years. I didn't know until, like I said, until I started having mind speak with them, and and gotten close to the 3 different clans that I've come in contact with officially in Florida here. So that was a kind of a weird experience that I thought I'd let you know about.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
And
then
I'd kind of like to tell you about Carl and Gloria, which this is a ghost story, and it touches my heart because to me it's a love story. When I did my volunteering at the American Legion in Odessa, Florida, there were two gentlemen in wheelchairs. One was in his 80s, an elderly gentleman, and his name was Carl, and he was a neighbor to my mother, but I didn't know this at the time. I didn't know he lived 2 doors away from my mother. I didn't speak to him other than the events, and it was brief. And the other one was a 45-year-old young man who had lost his legs in war, sadly. And anyway, these two guys were in the wheelchair. And when I would volunteer, I didn't drink, so I would be the bartender. And, you know, the one that gets around and helps others and serves and does, you know, those kind of things. And when we'd have parties and dances and things like that, I would go and I would pull their wheelchairs out on the dance floor. Those two, to give them something to do, and you know, let them be a part of the dancing. And I would dance with these guys out on the dance floor. I'd swing their wheelchairs around, and I loved it. I mean, I loved doing that, and they loved it, and it gave them something to do, you know, to be involved, so to speak. And I did that for 2 or 3 dances. I did that with these two young men, and then, well, these two men, and then they both passed away within 6 months of each other. Oh, and like I said, I really, at this point, I still didn't know that Carl was a neighbor. I didn't know that at that point. I just knew that, you know, I'd see him and his wife at these events quite a bit. I just never talked to him. I was always the busy one. I was always bartending or cleaning or doing, you know, whatever volunteers do. So, excuse me, my mother, she had cancer for 15 years. She had 3 different kinds of cancers, and I took care of her. And because she was a smoker, we put a secret camera that I could hear her and see her. We had a camera on her, so I could be in my room way back in the other side of the house, and she could be in her chair smoking and watching her soap operas, you know, and that was her life, and mine was in the other end of the house. And this one day I'm in bed reading a book, you know, I've got this book, and I hear the front door open. You know, it's a glass screen door, but I could hear it open, and I saw my mother's head turn and look at the door and then go back to her soap opera. And I could, like I said, I could hear as well as see on this camera. It had sound as well. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. Maybe the wind hit the door, or, you know, something odd, you know, and I let the first time, you know, I let it go. And my mother's back watching her TV. She's all as well. And so I knew nobody came in, or I thought nobody came in when she did that. You know, I mean, I just got back to my book. And then I started feeling somebody looking at me. And it was strong. And I put my book down, and I look at the foot of the bed. And at the foot of my bed, standing there, was this very handsome, young gentleman in military uniform, standing at attention with his hands behind his back like they stand at attention. I don't know what they call that, but, you know, in a relaxed state. But he's staring at me. And then he mind speaks with me. I get telepathy. And I'm first of all, I'm shocked because he's at the foot of my bed in my bedroom, and he's solid. He's as solid as you and I. I mean, there was no seeing through this man. There was nothing other than a good looking, handsome man standing at the foot of my bed. And when I looked at his face, I realized that's Carl. He's, you know, he just passed. He's 80 something years old. How is he 30 something years old now and strong and healthy and looking good and in uniform, which really baffled me, you know, a ghost in uniform. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Anyway, I realized that's Carl. And he says to me, "Where's Gloria?" And then I realized what's going on. You know, he's trying to find his wife. And I said, this was all telepathy. I said, go out the door that you came in and don't scare Mom, because I didn't want to scare my mother. I said, don't scare Mom, but go out the door, and Gloria is 2 houses down on the right, and she's waiting for you. And I was thanking the good Lord. I thought to say that to him. I don't know where that came from, but I said, and she's waiting for you. And so he gives me the, like, thank you, ma'am. And like, as if he's on a mission. And he just sort of floats from I didn't see the feet because I'm looking up. So I don't know if he was like walking or floating, but I'm going to say it was more like a float, a very solid, like floating out out my door, and and he went evidently into the living room, and I heard the door open and close, and I saw my mother's head again look at the door, right? Now I'm pale, I'm in shock. I just saw Carl, who was 80 something years old when he passed, and he came back in full. I mean, he was a solid. I could have hugged him. I really could have, but 30 years old, beautiful, strong, healthy, good looking, and in his best. And he was retired military. I mean, he had been in he was a lifer. So I go into the living room, and my mom looks up at me and she goes, "Why are you so pale?" And I was shocked, because I was realizing I just seen Carl the ghost, not Carl the man. And so I explained it to her. And my mom knew I had things happen to me a lot, because she was the only one that I could ever talk to about these things. And she never questioned me, and she never took sides or judged me. She just accepted, and she just kind of knew that I was telling her the truth, that I just seen a ghost. And so I said, did you hear the door open, Mom? She goes, yes, twice. So she did, so she agreed that she heard the door. And I said, well, here's what happened. And I told her. And then we decided, we thought about it, and we thought it was too soon to go talk to Gloria. It was too soon after his passing. So I never got to go down there and tell her, which I always wanted to. I always thought, wouldn't she love to know that her husband came back strong, healthy, and gorgeous, the way she probably met him and married him. But then I moved away after my mom passed. We sold the house, and I moved away, and I never got that chance to tell Gloria about her husband coming to look for her.
Uh-huh.
So to me, that's a love story that it just touches my heart, to know two things. One is that when we come back or we cross over, we're not that crippled up, elderly, broken person that we were when we go to sleep. You know what I mean? He came back at his best, absolutely at his best. And I can't get over that. I love that. To me, that's the most beautiful love story ever.
And you're living proof of it. Right?
Yes.
That is
seen it
awesome.
with your own two eyes. Cool.
I did. And I wrote an article on Facebook about that years ago. And a young gal that is an author asked me if she could post it in one of her books. And I said, sure, you can have my story. And so I think she called it Carl and Gloria, or Gloria and Carl. I'm not sure. And it's in a book called True Ghost Stories, Volume 2, if anybody wants to look it up. I can't think of the girl's name right now. I'm sorry. But True Ghost Stories, Volume 2. And so that has been published out there somewhere, which I haven't.
That's a cool story that happened.
But just think about it. When we come back, or when we go into that other body, it's not this broken up one. It's, it's strong and healthy, young. And to me, that's the best part of the story. Not only the love story that he came back for his wife and got lost and came to our house. But I think sometimes, because when you're psychic or you have telepathy, I think sometimes they do come to you looking for somebody else or something because they need help and they're kind of not sure where to go.
Well, there's been a lot of TV shows and movies. So obviously, we don't base things on that right. Are the same way. The Sixth Sense. There was a TV show where the girl was a medium and spirits came to her, and if they were murdered, she'd figure out the murder, and sometimes she just helped them find people. So that's, and I always say, life imitates.
I guess I have done that. I guess I have absolutely helped somebody find his loved one, and I just think that's the most beautiful love story ever. I love that story. So so that was another thing, and I'm going to tell you about one where I was out of body, if you guys can understand that next.
Sure.
If you're ready for it.
Let's bring it on.
One night around 2000, I believe, I also, in my other video, I mentioned in 2000, I was abducted, coming home from a nightclub party and on New Year's. I think I mentioned that, driving home, and got home at 3 a.m. instead of midnight, like I had planned. Or a little after midnight. But anyway, this I bring that up for a reason, but it was same year. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. I believe it was the same year. I get dream visions. Now I call them dream visions because they're too real and they're too material to be just dreams. You know, they're too, I'm in my body, or things are real. I can't explain that, but I call them dream visions. And I've had a lot of these in my life, but this one is very, very, to me, it touches my heart, and you'll understand when I get to the point. So this one night I'm having a dream vision, and I left my body, and I looked down. I knew I was out of my body. I absolutely knew. And I looked down, and I was like in a white gown kind of thing. And I'm flying, I have one arm up, like, you know how Superman did this, and he always flew with two arms, but I had one arm up, and I'm flying like Superman up up above the sky, up into the clouds. And I'm flying around the earth. They can say it's flat. I don't care. I don't know. But I felt like I was flying around the earth. Okay. And I was seeing stars going by me. I was seeing the earth below me. I was looking around. I was in heaven because I was in my astral body, and I was very aware. And I thought, this is great. You know, this is really great. And so I'm flying. And then I go into some cold, dark water. And I could feel the water, but it didn't hurt me because I wasn't in my physical body. But I knew it was cold and dark, and I went deep. I went way deep down into this water. And I see what looked like a ship, a submarine. I see a submarine, absolutely a ship down at the bottom, you know, resting on the bottom. And somehow, I'm not sure how, but I knew I had to go through the hull and to get inside. And I did, but still this arm is out. This one arm is guiding me for some reason. So I somehow go in through the hull, and I'm in the ship, and water is pouring in. I mean, it's a nightmare inside this ship. And I see three gentlemen on my right screaming and crying. And then I see and they were in blue, like mechanics wear, zip up, navy blue zip up. I call them monkey suits. I'm not sure.
Coveralls.
Overalls, thank you, or coveralls. Yeah, they were three of them on my right. Were in blue, and they were all reaching out for me, crying, and I mean, that my heart was breaking as I'm looking at them. But on my left was one gentleman, and he was in a white shirt, like he was an officer. And my thought was, okay, officer, captain of the ship, something, you know, something. But he was definitely had, you know, lapels, white shirt. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I reached out that hand that had been holding me and flying with me. I reached out my hand, and I grabbed his hand with mine, and I felt it. I mean, I felt it. I grabbed this gentleman and pulled him out of the ship. Literally took him with me, pulled him out of the ship, and I went up, back up into the sky with this gentleman. And I literally, when I got to where I was going, it was bright white lights. Okay. It was so bright. It was just, and the love, I'm telling you, the love I felt when I got into this bright whiteness was amazing. And I literally was still holding this gentleman's hand, and a large, as big as a car, a white hand came out, and I laid this gentleman in that hand. And I felt like I put him in God's hand. And that's what I felt like. I took his spirit to wherever the light was. Okay. Whatever you want to call the light, you know,
Wow.
say what you want. I don't know. And it may not have been God's hand, but it was a hand. To me, it appeared as a big, huge, big as a car. And I laid the gentleman in the hand, and they accepted him. And then I started, I wanted to stay because it was like, I can't even explain how beautiful and how loving it feels to be in that light. But I knew I had to get out of, you know, I had to leave him and go. But I kept thinking, why couldn't I grab the other three? What, you know, why couldn't I grab them all? You know, why couldn't I save? Because I felt like I saved this man somehow, like a soul retrieval, if that makes sense. You know, that's kind of deep stuff. But anyway, I had to just grab the one guy, and I took him to what I'll just call heaven. You call it what you want. And I handed him over to either angels or the Heavenly Father, whoever and whatever that enormous white glowing hand was. And so anyway, then I flew back into my body, and I looked back as I forgot to tell you this. As I'm pulling him out of the ship, I looked back at the ship, and I wanted to see if I could get anything from the ship. And I sat up, and when I woke up, I sat up and I had wrote what I saw, which was RURSK. That's what I wrote on a little tablet by my bed. And
Wow.
then I think I went back to sleep for a little bit. And then in the morning I got up and I went out, and my mom and the young man that was at my house when in 2000 that was at the gate waiting for me to come in because I'd been gone longer than they thought I should be. You know, I came in at 3 and he stuck his hand in and showed me his watch and showed me how late it was. And that's when I realized I must have been abducted again. But anyway, that young man was at my house, and he and my mother were awake and sitting in there talking. And I come out of my room and I said, I have to tell you guys what happened. And I gave them the story. And my mom says, go look at the newspaper. I picked up the newspaper, and it was the Kursk. It was the net that was broadcast in the newspaper, the Kursk. And I had written RURSK when I sat up, when I woke up and sat up and wrote down what I thought I saw. But I couldn't quite see because in Russian, the letters are inverted. So yeah. So, but yeah, my mom handed me the paper, and her and Kyle, God bless him. Thank you, Kyle. He's passed too. But those two, they were both shocked and looking at me like, I can't believe that, I said, Mom, I was on that ship.
That's wild.
I was in that ship.
That's
I was
crazy.
seeing these people
That is
die
wild.
sort of in front of me, but I guess I call it a soul retrieval. I'm not sure how, why, or who. And then I wanted to know what was my connection to this gentleman. Why him? Why not? Why the guy in the white shirt? Why not either all of them, or, what was my relationship with this gentleman that's Russian, that's at the bottom of the ocean kind of thing. And I looked at a lot of pictures of the victims, but I never really could tell. I just couldn't tell what he really looked like but he knew. It was weird when I reached to grab his hand. It was like he knew I was coming, and he reached his hand out and got, it was very bizarre, but I'm assuming he was already gone at that point.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? I'm
Yep.
assuming they were already gone, but I actually literally saw water pouring in and these other 3 guys freaking out and crying and begging for help. And I wanted to help, but whatever I did, I was supposed to do, but yeah, so that happened to me. I think it was 2000. It might be 2001, but I think that was in 2000 as well. And that's been one of my most amazing out-of-body experiences because, like I said, I literally found my way. I just automatically knew I was supposed to go get him and take him to the light. I didn't know how or what I was doing it, but that's exactly what I did.
That's wild.
That's
so
cool.
any questions on that one?
You said you went into the water.
I felt the water, dark, cold.
When you woke up, were your hands like, I don't know, I don't want to sound, were they wet? Did they feel wet?
No,
Did they feel
no.
like you had been in water?
Were you cold?
I don't remember that. I don't remember being cold. I felt that the water was cold as I was going through it, but it wasn't like the physical cold like we feel when we're in our bodies and you get in cold water. I just knew that it was dark and cold, wet water. I just knew I was diving into the water down towards the ship. And then I somehow knew I had to go through this hull. And that's the part that I didn't even know. I didn't have time to think about how to do it. I just automatically somehow went right in. So to me, that was that. I had an amazing year that year.
Well, maybe it just means you're, don't get a big head over this, but maybe you're special, meaning that, maybe somebody gave you a job that you needed to do, and because they knew who you were, and maybe they knew your abilities and they could use you to channel whatever to do whatever. And maybe, that's the way I would look at it.
This is
Well,
going to sound weird to say, to quote a movie. You were on a mission from God.
I was.
Blues Brothers.
Yes.
Absolutely was. And I was, the best part is that I was aware I was out of my body and I was enjoying the feeling of freedom, no pain and being free. And I literally looked at myself. I looked just like I do now, or only in 2000, I was much older, but I looked young. To me, when I looked at my own body, I looked young, like maybe at my most, like maybe 30, at my most healthy, best life, like Carl, when he was out of his body, something like that. And
in case you mentioned it, was Gray around? Your friend Gray?
not then, no. Not no. The only thing was the water, the ship, and the white light. But I could see the stars as I'm traveling. I was somewhere. I don't know. I can't say, because people will say, well, you couldn't have gone up because there's a firmament and you can't get to God and you can't get to heaven. And, there's stories. I don't know. I just saw stars flying by me and planets. I was up there somewhere.
You were in the heaven.
Then I was being pulled more and more towards this more brilliance that was opening up, this beautiful white light. And then this enormous hand just came towards me, and then I just put him gently in the hand, and then I didn't want to leave. I remember saying, I don't want to leave, but I had, because there was just such love.
Was the guy what the person you were carrying, was he responsive? Did you communicate? Did you, when you set him down, did he look at you? I mean,
I'm going to say he knew that he knew what I was doing, and we didn't telepathically communicate, no, but he knew I was, like I said, when I reached for his hand and he grabbed mine, it was like he knew I was coming for him in some way. Okay. But I don't know that he knew what we were gonna do, because I didn't even know what we were doing. I just knew I had to get this guy out of this boat somehow. And as soon as I pulled him out, like I said, I looked back and saw what I thought was RURSK as what I scribbled down. And then, like I said, I went back to sleep for a little bit. But I thought, what a dream vision that was. I had no idea it was real until I got up and read the newspaper, and thanks to my mother.
You were his guardian angel, kind of.
I guess I got to. I think we all do things like this when we're sleeping or we're out of body. I don't know. They say we have another life when we're sleeping, and in that other realm. So I don't know for sure. I just know that.
I hope I'm not, because I've had some pretty weird dreams.
I've had some pretty crazy dreams, and if that's the other realm, wow.
Yeah. Well, some people say that we go to school over there and they're teaching us things, and I don't know. I don't know, because I've only had a couple of really strong experiences out of body like that one.
I totally believe in the dimensional and the multiverse, I guess is what they call it, that you exist on different planes.
Yeah.
Not airplanes, levels.
Right.
They're much better visions than what Jeff has. Jeff has visions of mice in the house and not having any ammunition to take care of them. So that's a nightmare for Jeffrey. So.
Hey, Jeff, you need to call the cat family, because they can take care of things for you. Call the cat brothers; they can fix you.
I've had a lot of problems, but lack of ammunition is not one of them.
Good. Just in case. Good.
Yeah.
I'll call you if ever the shit hits the fan.
No, you don't.
I'll be asleep until something important happens, and I'll wake up, take care of it, and go back to bed.
Okay, then I would like to tell you another ghost story that happened to me at my mother's home. If you're ready.
Oh yeah,
we're ready.
Now this one, to be honest with you, this is either ghost or abduction, because I never could. People in the know that are very aware about abductions, professionals, researchers, and such. have told me they think it was a UFO. But here's what happened. I had a cousin who lived at the end of the block, and her husband and her they'd been married 100 years, and they got into a terrible fight. And she told him she was going to divorce him, and they were selling the land, and he had to leave, and ugly fight, right? So I went down there, and he had left, and he had grabbed just a few things, and he had left the house, and she was so mad at him that, she was really going to divorce him this time. I mean, and this guy was the sweetest man and hardest working man. And his name was Pete. I loved Pete to death. Anyway, I went and got Marcia to calm her down, and I brought her home, with my mom, and which, like I said, she was just down the end of the street. Their property was at the end of the street. So I brought her home, and I told her, stay with me today until we get a hold of Pete, and we'll get it. It'll work itself out. Don't worry. You guys have fought before. Well, all of a sudden she turns around. She was with us a couple hours, and she turns around and she goes, "Pete's dead." I went, "No, he's not." "No, he's not." She goes, "Pete's dead." And she's getting loony. I mean, she's losing it, And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? So within about an hour, she gets a phone call from the police. Pete took a motel room. He took a bottle of Viagra. He took a magazine and had circled where he was going to call some young call girls or something. And he took 4 beers. Now that's all he took, okay, with him when he left her house. That's all he had. He didn't have clothes. He didn't have anything else. So I don't know who found him dead, but I don't know how that happened. But anyway, according to the autopsy, there was no drugs, there was no beer, there was no Viagra in his system, but he had all that beside him on the table, okay? And in my heart, I feel Pete died of a broken heart, and I'm going to stick with that forever, okay? But Pete was dead. And it turned out, it tore our family apart because we all loved Pete. He'd been in our family, married to my cousin for many years, 20 or 30 years. I don't know, long time. And I ended up having to do his eulogy, which was pretty hard on me, but I ended up having to do that. But anyway, we had Marcia move in with us. We decided Marcia couldn't stay down there alone, and, she couldn't take care of the place, and she was a mess. So we brought her to our place, and she stayed with us for maybe a month or so. And she smoked cigarettes, and we had a great big porch out front, and she'd go outside to smoke. And of course, my mom sat in the house and smoked, but regardless, Marcia would go outside and on the porch and smoke. And so this one night, and like I said, it had only been just about a month she had been with us. She goes out to smoke a cigarette. It's about 10 o'clock at night, give or take, somewhere around there. And I'm on the couch talking to my mother, and I hear Marcia scream, "Kathy, help me, Pete's got me." And that's what I heard. Okay. So I go running out. I'm thinking, what? In my head, Pete's got me. What is she was medicated. So I always called her Crazy Marcia anyway. Okay. That's the truth. But regardless, Pete's got me. So I go running out to try to help her. And the minute I opened my door and stepped out on the patio, it was like strobe lights hit me in the face, and it was so blinding. I couldn't hardly find her. I couldn't see anything. Just strobe lights, just flash, 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 really bright, bright lights. So I finally reached out and found her, and I grabbed her, and I said, "Pete doesn't have you. Pete doesn't have you. Come." And I pulled her and I jerked her into the house. And my mom looks up from her chair where she's always sitting, and she says, "Why were you guys flashing the lights?" So my mom thought we were flashing the porch lights, which is stupid because the lights are inside and we were outside. It didn't make sense. So whatever this bright, bright, bright light that was flashing was, like I said, ghost versus abduction. Now, I'd been abducted, I don't know how many times. Maybe they had been taking her. Maybe they came for me and got her because she walked outside. I don't know for sure. I don't have that exact answer. but to her it was Pete. And to me, the people that know me feel that it was more probably abduction situation. But somehow, I'm not sure how, but and I don't know if there was missing time, because again, everything, I had to calm Marcia down. I had to calm my mother down, and so I don't really know, but that light was so bright. I was totally blinded. I've never had that experience, in the physical before. And so that's something that happened on that property as well.
You were talking about time. The last time that we talked to you, you said each one of your events were like 3 hours.
Yes.
Could that have been about the same amount of time, possibly?
It possibly could have been, because like I said, from the moment I went out and I couldn't see to find her, I had to feel to find her, to get a hold of her. And then I just pulled with I was praying too, because if it was Pete, I needed to work with Pete. You know what I mean? Somehow I knew that if it was Pete, I had to have him be in a better place. So I was doing a prayer as I'm out grabbing Marcia and jerking her in. I was in the middle of prayer. And so I know that the prayer probably stopped. If it was abduction, I think the prayer might have stopped it. Or if there was missing time, I don't know that either. All I know is when we came back in the house, my mom thought we were flipping the light on and off. So my mom got some kind of flashing from the front porch in her view where she was sitting. So, that's one I'm still not sure. I didn't feel like it was Pete. I just didn't feel like it was Pete, because the ghosts I had seen at that point, 3 ghosts at that point, were all not flashing, not bright lights, not strobe lights type things. So to me, there was something else going on, but it took me until, many years later, like I said before in my last video, that putting these things together, is very difficult. And especially when they've been going on your whole life. So I'm still thinking that one might have been an abduction attempt. And because she stepped out and not me, I think somebody grabbed her, Or maybe she's been
grabbed her by mistake.
Maybe they've been abducting her too. I don't know that. And now she's gone too. So I don't really know. But to her, it was Pete, and she was terrified and screaming. And to me, I didn't know. I just was praying that if it was Pete, that he got the forgiveness, that he would forgive her. And, I was doing all the things I could do spiritually to make it end. And anyway, she only stayed with us a few more weeks, and then she went and got an apartment of her own and moved out. And then she found out she had cancer. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
So so there's that experience at my mom's house too. My mom must have had some energy in her, or it was me. I don't know which. But so that happened at that place. So to this day, like I said, I don't know if it was a craft or a ghost, to be honest, on that one. So,
well, to me, the lights maybe kind of doesn't sound real ghosty. It sounds more abduction.
That's what I'm thinking now that I'm older and wiser, and I've talked to a lot of other people, like I said, researchers that are in the know more so than I. I have a dear friend, Melanie Barton Bragg, Dr. Melanie Barton Bragg, who is a therapist, and she's worked with all kinds of people, abduction, people that have trauma, serious trauma. She's 40 something years. She's been working with these people, and she works with Danny Sheehan, who is one of the big disclosure attorneys, if you know that name, Danny Sheehan. And she works with him, and she's in the disclosure movement. And she's the one that told me, I don't think it was a ghost. I think it was an abduction. Okay. And she's the one that also did my QHHT years ago. And bless her heart. Anyway, so she's one that kind of had me looking at it in a different way, because like I said, that light was so bright. It was even brighter than any strobe light I've ever seen. So it was totally blinding, and it just kept flashing and like I can't explain it, like as if lightning was going off one after the other, just over and over again. And so that was an experience.
Yeah.
And like I said, I didn't think to look at time either. I didn't think to look. I just didn't, didn't put things together. We were busy all the time. Didn't have time to think about these things after they'd happened.
Gotcha.
So, and so that one happened, and then I have moving along on my list. Now, one time, I have a dear friend who was with me when I was 16 when we were abducted or taken on the cigar-shaped craft in 1967. Vicky, being my best friend since third grade. We were in her truck one time when we were 16 years old. It was an old blue, I believe it was a Chevy. I'm not sure. But anyway, this older blue truck, and we were going, it was dark. It was about 10:30, and we think we were on Highway 301 and going towards Tampa. I don't know where we were coming from, but we were on this road, and it's dark, and there's no lights. It's an old country road. Back then it was anyway. And we're going probably about 45, most likely about 45 miles an hour. And we hear something running alongside. We can hear footsteps running, keeping up with our truck. And we're looking and we don't see anything, and it's dark. So we're not seeing too much outside, but we're literally hearing footprints running and keeping up with this truck. And then all of a sudden we hear 4 knocks on her window. 1, 2, 3, 4. Really loud knocks, and she stops the car, she stops the truck, and we both look at each other. Did you hear that? Yeah. Did you hear that? Yeah. What the heck? So we were brave because we were, we must have been about 16. We got out of the truck. We stopped that truck and we got out and looked, and there was nothing, and it was dead silent. But something was running beside that truck that we could hear the footsteps for quite a little bit before we heard the 4 knocks and stopped, So that one I just thought of not too long ago, and I called Vicky, and I've been talking again. She's in Tennessee, and we've been talking and catching up with things. And I asked her if she remembered that, and she said, "Oh my gosh, I'd forgot about that one." So yeah, she and I had a couple of really bizarre experiences being friends, and she did remember it, and she remembered the whole story. But the sound of those footprints running, keeping up at 45 miles an hour, and now I think about it and I hear, well, Bigfoot does that. Dogman does that. Some cryptids supposedly can try to keep up with vehicles. I don't know,
Mothman.
I don't know. But it was invisible because we couldn't really see anything at all. And then when we heard the 4 knocks, she stomped on the brakes thinking somebody needed help or whatever. And we got out, and we literally got out and looked around. It was scary. It was, but there was nothing there.
That would be wild, driving down the road and all of a sudden you hear.
Now this is one I haven't ever talked about because I just remembered it not too long ago. So you get the first on this one. That was so bizarre for both of us, but thank God Vicky's still alive, and she verified that she remembered the exact same thing that I did. And wow. So there's a one that I have not ever spoken about that happened to us again. But it was heavy footsteps, but you could hear them. And we're going. I don't think we had a radio. I don't think the radio worked, so that's probably why we could hear things so well. We were just her and I talking.
What time of year was it?
I don't really remember. It wasn't cold out. I don't remember it being cold out. So it was probably fall or, before the cold weather. I don't remember. It wasn't like midsummer where you stepped out of the vehicle and couldn't breathe. It wasn't like that. So I'm thinking it might've been a fall time of year.
Fall. Okay.
But, anyway, that was really that's something, like I said, it just came to me the other day, and I talked to her, and she did remember the whole story too. She says, "Oh, I forgot about that old blue truck." And the experience of that sound of whatever, it kept up with us doing 45 miles an hour at least, and so
that's pretty crazy for sure.
Yeah. That was something else. And I'm glad I have at least one friend that's still living that can testify and will gladly talk about these things. She's not afraid to talk about them like some are. So that happened when I was around, like I said, around 16. Let's see. Oh, and then I'll skip to the next one that I have. I don't think I've talked about this one either. So this is another new one. This is just where my psychic ability saved a life. And I'll tell you about it. I worked at Eugene Hospital and Clinic in Eugene, Oregon, and I worked in the emergency room. And we had first aid cars that people that got injured on the job. We had like a program going where they could call in and say, come and get one of our workers. He's got a finger cut. He needs stitches, and go get him and then take him back. And we had contracts with the local bus, the city bus. We had a contract with them. So this one day I'm at work, it's daytime, and I answered the phone for the emergency call. I'm in the emergency room, and the emergency call. Now, I don't know if any of you have been to Eugene, Oregon, but the University of Oregon is big, and it takes up a big part of downtown Eugene. And it's got, northeast, south, west, big streets, big, and there's a cemetery on the property. It's a big piece of land, and there's 4 directions to deal with, right? So I get this call and I'm answering it, and this is the public transportation bus, and I'm near the University of Oregon, and somebody just had a heart attack. They're turning blue, and they just fell on the floor, and we need your help. Now, normally they would have called 911 and not us, but for whatever reason, they called us, and then they hung up. Okay, so now I'm trying to get everybody dispatched just like a 911 worker would do. And I'm calling the ambulance because it is an ambulance call. But when they hung up, I'm like, okay, where the hell were they? Northeast, south, or west? Which side of the road of the university? So I pulled myself into my prayer mode, my psychic mode instantly. And I said, west side. It just came out. And so the ambulance and our workers got there, and they were doing CPR, and they saved the life, and it was the west side. So that was where my psychicness saved a life. And somebody wrote that in an article in the newspaper back then, and this was in the 80s. And they wrote an article about the lady on the phone. They named my name, but they said, just kind of had to take a guess of how how to send the ambulance to the right place. So I saved a life with my psychicness, just somehow through prayer. If you ask me, it was through prayer.
Yeah, very cool.
Prayer, and it just came out of my mouth. West side, like as if I knew. And I sort of, to be honest with you, I sort of remote viewed it. I sort of went over the university and looked down instantly as I'm spitting out west side. I sort of did a remote view that I didn't even know there was such a thing back then, but that's kind of how it happened. So this is a story I haven't told too many, but I do have a couple of friends that kind of might remember that I used to work with in Eugene. If they hear this show, they might can verify that story too.
Cool. So
so I saved a life just with prayer and I guess my gifts. I always thought that was special. So that happened in the 80s. And then I'll go into another one that I've never talked about. Did you have a question?
No, just saying you've been a busy person.
All my life. All my life.
Awesome.
Then another time this is another psychic event that happened to me. My son, I call him, you remember, the crash test dummy that they used to have on commercials? Okay, that's my son.
I had access to the crash test dummy suits when I was on the fire department in the 80s. And I was one of them.
My son's been in more accidents than anybody I know. He's wrecked more of my cars, my mother's cars, his own cars. Anyway, he's my crash test dummy. And I was asleep one day. I was in bed asleep at my mom's house again. And he was off with his friends doing four-wheel. There's his friend owned a mud bogging place where everybody could go and you could camp out. It was his good friend's place. Anyway, you go through all these trails into the woods on these 4-wheelers, and you're racing each other, and you're going as fast as you want to go. And I'm sound asleep. I mean, I'm dead to the world. And the phone rings, and I pick it up, and I hear my son's friend say, "Mom, Dean crashed, and he's on his way to St. Joseph's Hospital, and he's okay. And he says he's got a broken leg." And I said, "No, he doesn't. He has a broken neck." And the kid said, "No, Mom, no, it's just his leg. His leg was up here somewhere, and they took it. He's okay. It's just his leg." I said, "No, it's his neck." And I jumped in the car and I ran to the emergency room, and there he is on a gurney. And it was a crazy day in the emergency room. There was literally a dead body, a man in a gurney in the waiting room. I mean, they didn't even have a place to take this poor man. Oh, wow. It's under a sheet in the waiting room for like an hour, this poor guy. And I'm trying to get back to my son, and I'm telling these people, my son has a broken neck. "No, your son's fine. He has a broken leg." I'm arguing with these people. My son has a broken neck, I'm telling you. So finally I get back there, and my son didn't even have a neck collar on. I mean, what place transports without even a neck brace from a car? You know what I mean? I'm just in shock that I'm seeing this kid on a gurney in his underwear with nothing, not a blanket, not a sheet, nothing. And I guess they just pulled his leg down. It wasn't even in a splint, crazy, because it was fractured.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, it was fractured. It was femur fracture. And I'm telling, first of all, I go and I try to grab people, but they're so busy. They are so busy, and they have this body out there and people crying, and, it's just crazy, really crazy stuff going on. So they're finally getting to my son as he's laid there for probably an hour at least in this waiting room, trying to just even get any kind of care. And so when they took him back, I said, "You're not taking him without me. I'm going." And they go, "Well, he's going into x-ray." And I said, "Yes, that's why I'm going." I said, "You're going to do his neck." "Oh, no, ma'am, we're only supposed to do his leg and his hip." "You're doing his neck. You're going to take you're going to do his C-spine." And I'm arguing with him. Sure enough, he had a broken neck. He had a fracture in his neck. And so they patched him up and they put him back together. And so that was something that just a mother knows sometimes, or maybe a psychic mother knows. I don't know, but I absolutely knew his neck was broken. And so then when he gets on his feet, I start noticing that he's like having these moments where he just stares off into space. And I know that's not my son. There's something wrong. And so I start arguing with the doctors again. "Oh, he's fine. He's fine. He survived. He's had his therapy. He's fine." I said, "No, he's not fine. He's having seizures. He's having something. He doesn't go unconscious. He doesn't fall on the ground, but he's spacing out in a way that there's something wrong." And I had to argue again and argue again. Finally, after different doctors, I got a doctor that would hook him up, put him in the hospital and hook him up to all the EEG machines. And sure enough, he wasn't having one seizure. He was having 2 types of seizures, but not the kind that are normal. Not the kind that you fall or you go out. They were just like, he would just space out. And so they called them, believe it or not, they called them psychological seizures, which meant for his accident. Yeah, that's what the doctor told me. He says he's having 2 types of seizures. One is probably from the accident, and that should heal without medication. He said, but the other one is a psychological seizure. And I didn't understand much about it back then. This was a long time ago. So again, like I said, psychically, I knew something was wrong, and I had to fight to get something done. And sure enough, but those things passed. They did both heal, and he doesn't have seizures, and his neck is fine, and he's working hard in construction.
Good.
Yeah, he got back on his feet again. But so that was a psychic thing, that when the kid called me and said he has a broken leg, I popped up with, no, he has a broken neck, and I had to fight to prove it. But so that was another little instance in my life that, that's where my gift came in handy. So there's
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's a good point. It definitely came in handy that time. Cause
Yeah.
what
It-
if,
it- yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Because,
they missed the call, so to speak.
Missing a broken neck's not a good thing.
No, not at
Well,
all.
boy, I'm
anymore,
telling you,
they're supposed to put a C collar, and if any kind of break, they're
he
supposed to
should have
splint
been in
them
a
somehow.
splint,
Yep.
or a leg something
Well,
with
that
his
should have been
leg. Nope.
every wreck. That's the first thing they should do.
See,
Is they
C
put
collar.
a neck brace on you because they don't know what's wrong with you. They don't know what's broken and what's not broken.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. All they knew is when they got there, his leg was up over his shoulder, and they did whatever they did to transport him, and his leg was down. When I saw him laying on the gurney, he was on his side. And like I said, no neck brace whatsoever. And I had already been screaming all the way to that other kid that his neck was broken.
And they didn't have a blanket or anything on him.
Nope.
I mean, he could have
Nope.
went in shock or something.
Nope. Yeah, I know. And then, like I said, once we got in the emergency room, there's a body there and people crying, and they were so busy they couldn't even
That's
find a
wild.
place to put this gentleman and his family so they could have some time, and it was a crazy day at the which I've worked emergency rooms. I forgave everybody, but I was very disappointed in whoever transported him. And like I said, I had to fight doctors to get the x-ray. I had to go down and literally fight with the x-ray people and tell them, you're going to do his neck. You're going to do his neck.
Did you fill out the how did we do form and put
Yeah.
No, but I'm telling it now. They didn't do so good back then.
Even today, the
yeah.
hospital that my wife works at, I've seen that ER just an absolute. I don't know how they get anything done. Mad.
Yeah.
Well, I used to work, like I said, I worked at 3 different ERs, and I loved it. I was very gifted, and I had good triage skills. So I knew, I knew what needed to be done. And it was my job. I mean, it was just, it fit me perfectly until I got my neck broken on the job. So I had to quit nursing and lifting and doing things. So, long story about that one, but I'm okay too, obviously.
As long as he got better, you're that's good.
Yeah, it took a few years. I had to officially fight for 5 years with a really bad neck until I decided I just had to go on disability, and then I could get surgery after I got on disability. So it took 3 years to get the disability and 2 years of suffering before I could actually get something done. And they took a piece of my hip bone and fused me. That's it. They fused my neck, and it lasted for over 20 years perfectly. I mean, I hardly ever had any pain. But now that I'm older, I guess once you get fused, the above vertebrae and the below vertebrae will go after so many years. And so my C2 and my C7 are now bone on bone. So I'm finally, after all these good years, I'm having.
Yeah, I've got a couple like that.
Yeah, I'm having issues with that now, but I'm okay. I'm okay. I just can't lift and do certain things that I used to do, which is, got to slow down sometime.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, so the next one I'd like to tell you about is my favorite of all. 2006, my daughter was in real estate, and she was taking me to go from Tampa south. So we were in Tampa, going on I-75 south to Brandon, to my uncle's house. He wanted to put his house up for sale, and my daughter was going to go give him an estimate or whatever, go have a talk with him. And I wanted to see my uncle, so I went with her. She had a brand new 3-month-old Honda Pilot, and she was driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. And it's rush hour. It's about 5:10. And if you know Tampa, it's like LA at rush hour. It really is. And so everybody's doing 80, truly bumper to bumper, but everybody's doing about 80. And I could see somebody coming in the opposite direction, a lady in a car, and it looked like she dropped a cigarette or something. And I could see that she was leaning down. And so, in other words, I could see her reaching and moving the wheel. I knew she was coming at us head on. Instantly in my head, I knew we were about to be in a head-on collision. And of course there was grass, she had to pass from one side of the freeway to the other. And there was like 4 lanes on either side. This was, a lot of traffic. And I absolutely knew and we were the car she was going to hit. I mean, I could see her coming at us. And at that moment, when I saw that this was happening and there's no way out of it, 2 golden, the most beautiful gold. I can't even tell you how beautiful this gold was. It was like liquid gold, but it radiated and it was shinier than any gold I've ever seen. I mean, this was the most beautiful orb, 2 of them, about the size of a basketball, maybe, or a bowling ball, somewhere about that size, appeared between my daughter and I. Now she's driving, I'm in the passenger seat, and I'm seeing these 2 golden orbs, and I know we're about to get hit. And as I see them, time literally slowed down for seconds. Somehow it was very weird. My daughter did not see anything. And one of the 2 comes over by my ear, and I'm thinking, oh God, we're about to die. These are my angels. Look how beautiful they are, and I'm really thinking these are angels. We're dead. I'm going to die. There's doing 80 and this car coming at us, and there's no slowing down. There's no going around. There's nothing to do but just be hit. So this one orb comes over towards me, and it telepathically says, tell your daughter to hold the wheel steady because she wants to turn it. And then when they said that to me, they showed me her turning the wheel and us rolling. Okay. Like they gave me this vision of that happening. And then they gave me another vision at the same time, 2 timelines at the exact same. Now this was seconds. This all happened, but again, time slowed down. And then they showed me the other one where she's holding the wheel and we're not rolling, but I knew we were going to be hit. But anyway, this orb tells me, tell your daughter to hold the wheel steady. She wants to turn the wheel, but tell her to hold the wheel steady. So I holler, Tiffany, hold on to the wheel. Don't turn it. We're about to get hit head on. And so she did. She just froze kind of in that position. Thank God she listened to me because I saw what would happen if not. And, as it told me that, and as I'm telling her to hold the wheel, it goes kind of like a pop and it disappears. And a little pop, like a little bloop, and then it's gone. And then the other one comes over towards my ear, and I'm still thinking these are angels and I'm dead. I mean, I'm really thinking these are angels because I've never seen anything so beautiful and so bright and golden. Like I can't even... I've never seen anything on earth that is as gold and bright as how beautiful this was. And so the other one comes over and it says, turn your upper body and look as far as you can to look at your daughter. And then I'm thinking, oh Lord, I'm going to die. And they want me to look at my daughter as my last vision. I'm about to go, So I did that. I took my whole body and I just turned. And I opened my eyes as big as I could. And I just looked at my sweet daughter's face, thinking that this is the last thing I'm going to see. And I have angels here to take care of me. I'm okay. Whatever happens, I'm okay with it, because I had these unbelievable to what I felt were angels. Okay. At that moment. So I did that. I turned my upper body as far as I could. And I opened my eyes real big and I'm just waiting for the impact. And then kind of like pop, and that one disappeared. And then boom, we got hit. Okay. Now, it turned into an 8-car involvement. So you can imagine with 8 cars involved that it was a pretty rough hit, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I didn't die. But by turning my body this way, my seatbelt did not hold me at all. And the airbag came out like a little balloon. My daughter's came out perfect, poof. And she was protected with an airbag. Mine came out like a little balloon, like, So basically, if I had been sitting in my seat straight, looking straight, I would have went straight into the dash, broke my neck, face into the glass. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But by turning my body, I hit the dash with my arm. and I must have put my foot out to try to stop myself, and I broke my foot in 2 places, and my arm had a compound fracture. That's all. I mean, that's all. And so if
Right.
these angels had not come to me, angels, golden orbs, whatever, if they had not
Guardian
come,
angels.
yeah. And there was quite a lawsuit. We could have had quite a lawsuit, but my daughter, she just didn't have time to go through me going through, I had to have surgeries and stuff. So she didn't have time to wait and hang on to that vehicle. So we just dropped the lawsuit. My attorney said it was a $5 million lawsuit that the seatbelt didn't work and the airbag didn't go proper, but we let it go. She didn't want to wait for me to get well and fight.
Did she get hurt?
She got a little burn on her wrist from the airbag, just a little one, and her knee hit the dash and she had a little bruise. And that's all.
Wow. Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And of the 8 cars in the pileup, the last car was a pregnant lady. And I had my daughter go check on her, and come to find out she was okay. Everybody was okay. I was the only injured party other than my daughter's burn in her knee. So I was the only one that was in any way, shape, or form injured. And when I went to step out after, we stopped and I went to step out, I realized my foot was no longer my foot. Something was wrong. And I went down further than I should have. And I told my daughter, my foot's broken, and I was holding my arm. I could remote view, believe it or not, I could see the broken bone inside my arm, and I wouldn't let go of it. And I wouldn't let the EMTs touch me. I said, I'll go with you, but I'm holding my arm. Well, do you need morphine? I said, no, I don't need anything. And I'm not taking anything until I talk to the surgeons, because I can see what's in my arm. Come to find out, if I had let go, and I stayed awake for 12 hours refusing drugs because I wanted to be sure that my surgeon saw my arm, because I could see it and the bone was very sharp. And he even said, if I had let go of my arm and they manipulated it in any way, I probably would have lost my arm. And so but I mean, I even refused morphine because I'm like,
wow.
I just wouldn't let go of it. I said, you're going to x-ray me like this. I'm holding my arm and you're going to do the x-rays like this. I had to fight again. I had to fight the system, but those golden orbs, and to me, they were angels, but I don't know. They were just the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. And that's the story that just stays with me. And
oh yeah,
that's the wildest story yet, probably to me.
Quite possibly. Now, I had Miss Melanie, my friend, the therapist, I had her put me under, and I wanted to know more about the orbs. So I gave her some questions to ask me while I was under hypnosis. And what she found through the hypnosis was, she almost took me to them in my psyche. I don't know. How do you say that? She took me there, and I was able to ask them, are you angels? Who are you? And how, why did you appear to me? And, I just kind of had this telepathy thing going on while she's asking me the questions. I literally could see my higher self was talking to them, so to speak. I don't know how to say it in any other words than that, but they told me, and I thought this was so beautiful. They said, this is where you came from, and this is where you'll return. You are one of us. Wow. And in my heart, I'm thinking, what does that mean? I get to save somebody's life? I get to turn into an orb someday?
Hey, you'd already saved somebody's life, hadn't you?
I had at that point, but still, that was my thinking, is I get to be an orb and turn to save somebody's life. So wherever they came from, they made it look to me like there are colors of dimensions, and evidently I came from the golden dimension, and that's kind of what they left me with. And I was fascinated, I'm like, because you couldn't get anything more beautiful than this glow from these, what I called the angels or orbs, whatever they are, whatever they were. But they saved my life. I have an arm that works. I've got lots of metal plates in me. But, and again, I had to fight doctors and refuse pain medicine until I could get a hold of a surgeon. because
that
I
is
wasn't.
a really cool story.
Well,
There
that's
was there was a question about the accident if it was on 275.
it was. It was going towards Brandon at 5:10 p.m. in 2006 in an 8-car pilot. Not pilot, because it was more like everybody got
Right.
to stop, but everybody hit each other. So it wasn't like a big horror nightmare, but a lot of cars were involved. And like I said, I was the only one injured, thank God. And I told myself, even after, when everything was settling down, I'm so glad it was me, because I'm used to pain. And I think, I'm better me than anybody else. And so I was sort of glad that I was the only one hurt in that accident. I just felt like I'm tough. I can take it.
Right.
But I could literally see that. I could see the bone. I could see a sharpness in a point inside this arm. And like I said, I wouldn't even let the EMTs I wouldn't let anybody touch my arm, not the nurses at the emergency room. I wouldn't let anybody touch it until they got a surgeon. And even taking me down to x-ray, I made them x-ray me holding my arm. I absolutely refused to let go of my arm. And I wouldn't let them knock me out with drugs at that point. Soon thereafter, I did, but not at that point. But again, the surgeon agreed with me. I would have lost my arm easily. It would have poked.
Oh, wow.
Bone would have come out. That would
Interesting.
have been it. So that was an experience in 2006, and that's one of my favorite stories and true stories. And just to know that there are angels that can appear to you and literally save your life and be so beautiful and loving and whatever, and anyway, that's one of my very favorite
That's nice.
experience.
Well, you said that, if I could ask you this, you said that you saw the woman drop her cigarette. Was that actually, did that actually, I mean, is that what actually happened? And did you get to see the woman after
No,
that happened? Or
no, I couldn't. After, and I stepped out of the vehicle, I knew my foot was broken. I knew I couldn't go anywhere and do anything, but I asked my daughter to look around at the people, make sure everybody was okay. Yes, the girl admitted that she lost control of the vehicle, but she didn't admit she dropped a cigarette. But I saw her do that. Now, whether I did that remote viewed, you know what I'm saying? Because she was coming down on the whole, there was a big median between us, 4 lanes here, 4 lanes there, and then this big median. So I don't know whether I remote viewed and saw her do that, or if I actually could see that far back then. I'm not real sure how, but somehow I saw her drop something and lean over, and I assumed it was a cigarette.
that's crazy. That is really cool. That is really cool.
Yeah, that's my most favorite experience. And then, like I said, under hypnosis, when I found out that those were my family in some kind of a way, I was one of them, or however they put it to me. It was like, gosh, it might be fun to pass. I can be an orb and save lives.
When your time comes, let it happen. When it's time,
It's like I'm going to be one of them. Let me go.
I truly feel that way. It's like I'm excited. I'm not ready to go, but when it happens, at least I know what to expect. Instead of looking for the light, I'm going to look for the golden orbs.
No, get the light out of the way. Bring the orbs. Bring on the orbs.
There was such a feeling of love too. That's why I think they were more like angels, because I could feel while they're there, I could feel this radiating love on me. Just like when I was seeing that white hand, that beautiful glowing hand, when I took the gentleman, and placed him in that hand. It was a feeling of love, and I didn't want to leave that feeling. It's just amazing. Just anyway.
Somebody's asking real quick if you've experienced sleep paralysis. I'm sure you have.
I haven't, that I know of.
Oh, okay,
I have
wow.
not, that I know of. I know that when I was on craft, I was sleeping, but I don't think I was paralyzed. I just felt like I was asleep and I could leave my body. So I don't think I've had paralysis. I've never had that I know of. I know I have a friend who's had a lot of those experiences, and she gets terrified, because she knows something's going to happen when that happens to her. It happens to her a lot. But no, I don't think I've ever been. I haven't had that experience. And I don't want it.
One time I
had-
couldn't, for whatever reason, I couldn't breathe.
Oh,
It just, and I just remember, and I remember laying there thinking about, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, and I woke up and I took a breath. And that was
Wow.
really weird. It was
Yeah, I
really-
had we did a show on that. I had a
yes.
pressure go across my chest and push down on my chest, and my wife was laying next to me, and she could hear me, straining to breathe. And I remember trying to lift my arms to grab whatever was on my chest because I literally felt like something was there. And when Erica started waking me up, and she did, the hands, whatever, started sliding off. But I was able to get my left arm up and grab it, and it literally felt like I grabbed somebody's hand like this as it pulled out, and it pulled out of my fingers. And I remember waking up, and I was like, I texted Jerry, I got a show for tonight. We're going to talk about this because this is the craziest thing that's ever happened. So I'm sure sleep paralysis and things like that can be, I'm sure there's good and bad.
right. What came to my mind was you had a succubus on your chest. That's something that they say that they kind of get on your chest and you can't breathe and
May have been.
I don't know
It's
much
crazy.
about that. I don't study the darkness. I try to stay in the light stuff. And
Do you think maybe those orbs, or could you tell that maybe it might have been someone from your family, from your past, that had passed? Maybe.
I don't know. I didn't feel like they were familiar to me. It wasn't like a familiar family member. It just to me it just felt like two angels appeared glowing so brightly that so I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that they felt familiar. It was like a brand new experience meeting them, so to speak. I felt at the time. So somebody said one time, maybe it was you in the future and you saved yourself. I went, oh, okay.
Hey,
but did I split into two?
Hey.
I don't.
Dimensionally, it could be. I mean, you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody brought that up to me, and food for thought. Anything's possible. I'm finding out anything's possible anyway.
Sure. That's my actual explanation for ghosts. I think it's something from another dimension coming into our dimension, and in their dimension, we're in their dimension. So we're a ghost to them. They're a ghost to us. That's just, to me, that's how vibrations would work. That the way I would see vibrations, that you hit a certain vibration where you're into another dimension, and then you come back to your vibration. But I'm not an expert, so
None of us are.
Yeah.
We're working this out together, aren't we?
I guess so. Yeah.
We're all trying to understand what's going on in the other world, I suppose. I don't think it was family. I guess I was family, but I didn't know it was family. But I felt more like they were ancient heavenly beings of some sort, and like I said, I called them angels, but I don't know. I just don't know. And like I said, under hypnosis, they let me know that I am one of them, whatever that means. And I'm from the golden realm. And when I die, I go back to the golden realm. So I thought, oh, how beautiful, how beautiful.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything more beautiful than the gold rays that they were putting out. And it's just hard to explain, very hard to explain. But I just thought, well, that's pretty darn good. I'll go there. When it's time, I'll go there. They'll probably be here to meet me again. So yeah, that to me, that's one of my very favorite stories that I like to tell. So then,
Do you want Jerry to show any of the pictures if he can?
yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I have hundreds of them. I just sent a few.
Actually, we're gonna do the orb video real quick. A couple of videos here. Let me out at the stage and get it going here. You want to tell us about this orb?
I will. I was in Eustis, Florida, horse sitting on 5 acres of land for my girlfriend. and she had a horse and a donkey, and I don't think I had her dogs with me. I'm not sure, maybe, but anyway, I was house sitting, and 3 nights in a row I went outside and I saw 2 UFOs. I knew they were there, and I saw them 3 nights in a row in the same place. And one was bigger than the other. Now, if you look at this long enough, you'll see a little blink of the other one that barely makes a little flash in there. So there is actually in this video, the other one, the little one pops in briefly somewhere. I don't know where, but anyway. So the 4th night, I thought to myself, it was about 10 o'clock at night, and I thought, maybe 11, but somewhere in just before bed, I thought, I'm going to go outside and see if they're there. So I went outside. It was real dark and quiet. I didn't turn any lights on, and I had my phone, and I went outside and I saw them in the same place that they had been 3 nights in a row. And I said, can you come closer? I really would like to see you closer. And amazingly, it came zoomed right up over. She has land that has these huge live oak trees, huge monstrous oak trees. And this particular orb being, or whatever, it came like right up over the oak tree out in the front yard. So it was about, I say, 50 to 100 feet away from me. And it just stayed like it is. Now, it was a lot brighter when I was looking at it than what came out on film.
What's behind that? Is it sky? Is it, what is it?
Yeah. There was sky, nothing but sky. And I don't remember if there were clouds. There was no clouds, I don't think, but there should have been, you probably should have been able to see some stars. I believe there were stars out that night. I'm not sure. It was a year.
It's multiple colors too.
Yeah, in my vision, I was seeing multiple colors. Yes, but I had my phone on. I always turn off the flash, and I always turn it on night vision. So that's what my phone took the picture of. So it stayed with me about 3 minutes. I videoed it for quite a while, and I said a little prayer, and I thanked them for coming close and letting me, But I didn't. I felt love. I felt good energy, but I didn't really get telepathy from it, other than it came when I asked it to.
About how far away from you was it?
Within 100 feet. But,
100 feet?
if you know how tall the live oak trees are, they're very tall, it was just over the top of one of the big oak trees in her front yard.
That's pretty close.
Yeah, it was very close. And it stayed, like I said, for about 3 minutes. I was surprised. I mean, I'm thank you, Lord, and I'm just holding my camera, and I can't believe it. I got something to talk about on Facebook tomorrow, and I hope it shows up, and so, so that's where that one came from. And that was just, a lot of things have happened since I've been back to Florida in the last 5 years.
How big do you think it?
It was pretty, actually, it was bigger than what it looks like on the film, but it was far off enough. I couldn't really gauge it very well.
Okay.
If I said maybe 10 to 20 feet around, maybe, but again, I couldn't quite, because it's dark out and I'm looking, I couldn't quite tell how close it really was, and how big, but I just know that it listened to me. And when I asked it to come, it came zooming right over and gave me an opportunity to take that picture. So like I said, I can call them in. I'm like Chris Bledsoe. I'm blessed to be able to do that. I don't do it for show. I don't do it for, certain ones I will do it for. I will, but I don't do it for just anybody and everybody. And I don't put it out there, but I go to quite a few groups of CE5s, and they always want me there because they know. As a matter of fact, I got invited just recently to a CE5 that I couldn't attend, so I had to do it on Zoom. But there's a gentleman that channels the Council of Eight, Kevin Briggs, and the Council of Eight, I have met several of them. Now I've met all of them at some point, but he channels them. And Kathleen Marden, Betty and Barney Hill's niece, she has a book out called Forbidden Knowledge, and she drew pictures of what they look like, each of the Council of Eight. Anyway, I was invited to come to he was going to channel them, and they asked if I could attend. And I was just blown out of the water because I couldn't get to Gainesville, so I couldn't go to the CE5. And there was a lot of really unique people up there. And I really, 25 people at least. And I really wished I could have went, but I don't like to drive at night. And Gainesville's 2.5 hours from here. But I got to Zoom. I did it on Zoom. And so I did get to hear the channeling. And excuse me. I'm sorry I have the voice thing going on. To be honest with you, I had an episode today where I had to hit the vape. And they stay with me a little too long. So I'm sorry, I'm coughing. But anyway, yeah, so I on the Zoom, while he was channeling, two of the beings of the Council of Eight said nice things about me and my gifts, and I was just blown out of the water that the Council of Eight invited me to attend this CE5. And
I wonder if the beings ever say anything nice about me.
My friends know if I'm going to come to a CE5, we're going to have some action. They know that.
We have another video here real quick.
Yeah, I hope you blocked out the music.
Yeah, I had to.
Good.
Yeah, because it's copyright stuff. It shouldn't play anyway. It should just be the video.
Okay, good. Now this is just a few. Just a few. I have hundreds.
Huh?
Well, I have a lot.
Changes color and shape.
That is different ones. That's different times I've called them in.
Oh, okay.
This has been over 3-4 years now that I've been calling them in. Aren't those beautiful?
Wow.
I'm just amazed. I'm just amazed that they give me this blessing. Now that one I've seen a couple times, even in the daytime. I saw that double one.
Wow, that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have more. I guess I'll have to send you more for the next video we do.
Do you have or have you seen more at night or during the day?
I have seen quite a few in the day, but these particular ones were where I called them in during a CE5 group, and not everybody at the group gets to see them, And a lot of times I just get a feeling to take a picture in a certain direction. I don't see them with my eyes sometimes, but yet they guide me to take these pictures. And these are the things I've come up with. I thought that looked like a musical note.
Yeah, the eighth note. A W.
Somebody else has posted one like that W-looking one, and I happened to see that on Facebook. So somebody else has seen that other one. That's a Tic Tac. I got that at Darby Ranch. Whoops, sorry about that.
Do you hear any noise whenever you see these, or you take pictures of them, or do you hear anything?
No, I don't. Like I said, mostly they will just a lot of times they'll just tell me, go turn east and take a picture. And I'll just take several pictures. I don't see anything with my eyes. Many times I don't.
Yeah.
But sometimes I do, and then I'll just take a picture of what I think is them. But usually they give me this message, just turn a certain way and take pictures, and that's what I come up with. And others don't always see them. Sometimes they've been seen by others, but not always. Sometimes it's just me and my camera, and because they told me to take a picture that direction.
Well, I mean, when we had the Northern Lights down here in Tennessee, with your eyes you couldn't see them, but if you took your camera out and you put it on a certain setting, the sky was absolutely beautiful. It's something we don't get to see. So, again, it comes back to maybe it's a setting on your phone that lets you see these orbs or whatever. I've seen orbs through a security camera before. And I kept trying to tell myself they were dust particles because there were so many, but they were moving all different directions. And I know near that area, I do had a vent in the ceiling, but if the vent blows, everything's going to pretty much blow the same direction.
Right.
And these were flying all different directions. Well, I was so curious about this later that I watched footage from that camera again, the next day and didn't see a single thing. So if it was dust, there'd have still been dust, and it was pretty good sized dust. It would have been, I'm just talking like about this big on the camera. So,
Wow.
and I'm not talking when I saw it, it had to be, 50 to 100 plus that I could see moving every direction. And the next night there was nothing. And the next night there was nothing. And the next night, just I never saw him again, but then I stopped paying attention.
Yeah.
So it's interesting what you can see with the camera for sure that we can't. It's like you talk about animals seeing trail cam. They can see the lights that we can't see because
True. True. Did I send you the picture with it that has orbs? That has the word orb on it. Did I send that one?
Yeah, there's 4 photos. I'm going to start right now with that.
Okay.
I was just getting ready to put it up there.
Okay. Can I tell you, if you take a look at this one, I'm at Darby Ranch, owned by Michael Merberg. He's an attorney. He was a friend of mine since the 90s, and he has very special land, and he has CE5s that you have to be a member of his group and get invited to go to. Now, what you're seeing in the front of this color are my 2 knees. I'm in a gravity chair, and those are my 2 knees. And behind what you're seeing up in the upper left is a fire pit. So I'm about 20 feet out from a fire pit, and I'm sitting with my friend. She's in the chair next to me. And I had a new device. It has night vision and it records and it has infrared, but I had just gotten it and I didn't know how to take a picture with it or video it. First time I'd ever used it, but I felt like a being was in front of me. I just absolutely kept feeling that there was somebody in front of me. So I put that machine down because I didn't know how to work it to take a video or take a picture with the infrared. So I put it down, I grabbed my phone and I snapped 2 pictures. And this is one of the pictures that came out. And I was so surprised. Now,
Wow.
I've shown this to Kathleen Martin, again, Betty and Barney Hill's niece, and she thought it was a gray. She said right away, I think that's a gray coming into the dimension. And I said, well, it stayed in front of my body. It stayed right at my knees for a long time before I realized, I just felt it, but quite a while, but like say 10 minutes or so before I actually thought to take the picture. So I got this picture and there's another one. I guess I only sent you the one. The other one has just a little bit of more purple, a little bit of different color to it.
Oops. Wrong way.
But so that was a being that made an appearance. This one, same kind of thing. I was with 5 ladies, a group that I'm involved with, very spiritual ladies and psychic and have gifts. And we were doing a small CE5 and nothing was happening. So I thought, well, I'm going to walk away from everybody and I'm going to say a little prayer. And I did. I walked maybe 20 feet away, and I just got told take a picture, and I took a picture, and this was the being, or orb, or whatever, that appeared to me, and I was the only one that got to see it. My friends didn't get to see that one. Like I said, they were all talking, and we were sitting together. But that was the night that we were together, and that's what I got. I just, they just told me to take a picture right here, right now.
Wow.
It's very colorful. You can't really see it so well here, but it was very beautiful. Lots of colors in that one.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of colors around the. Yep.
Yeah, they're just amazing, these beings. But they told me to take the picture. They told me to walk away from the group and take a picture. Now I was sad because one of the gals had never had a UFO experience at that point. She has since then had one. So thank God she finally got to see some, but she had not. And I was kind of disappointed that I didn't get to show the whole group, but it didn't stay long enough. And again, I walked away from them and took that picture. So
Okay.
now this one's real hard to see. I guess I need to do some kind of more imaging. It's very colorful too, but it is certainly an orb. It has blue and purple and red in it. Again,
You can kind of see it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's not one of my best.
Well, if you're not going to send us good product,
I'll do better. I'll do better.
Let's see if I can make it a little larger here.
Now I've heard of people, sending people pictures of orbs, but the word orb,
Uh-huh.
that's different.
Yeah.
But-
I
Danny
wrote
being
in so
silly.
people could
I'm
see it.
sorry. I'm sorry. I just had. I'm sorry.
Well, the one that the one I think I sent you that has 2 orbs in it. Did I send that one?
Yes.
Okay, good. That one's important to me, and I'll explain. You can see the face in that one on the right. Can you see the face?
Oh
Down
wow.
at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
See it?
Now, I was in Gainesville at a CE5 with my friends, and I kept feeling like something was behind me, almost breathing down my neck. And I felt like it was about 4 feet around, and I felt like it was round. And it almost felt like it was breathing down my neck all night long. I kept feeling this being behind me. It was weird. And no matter where I went, I felt this thing like almost like a balloon rubbing up, almost bumping into me, just following me around. And so towards the end of the night, I just took my phone. I was sitting down and I took my phone and I just snapped a selfie over my shoulder behind me. I took 2, obviously. And this is what I got. There was absolutely an orb following me around, right on my heels, right. And it was, like I said, it felt like it was about 4 feet in diameter. And so it followed me the whole night. And I didn't look at the picture. After I took the selfie, I forgot about it. And I didn't look at the picture till the next morning. So then I got to show the few people that were still there, what followed me. I kept saying, something's following me. I just got this feeling, So that one literally was some being that was right on my heels all night long during a CE5. And it didn't have any bad energy. It didn't scare me. It didn't, it just felt like if I stopped suddenly, it would bump into me. But yet it was sort of invisible, even.
Yeah, there's a bit. You study the purple one to the right. You can see a little bit of some kind of facial features there.
Yes,
Yeah, I've done everything I can to lighten them and darken them and do different. But I'm not, I'm not professional. I did have a friend help me get as much of this as I have
But
here.
that's 2
He was a
different orbs.
photographer.
That's 2 different orbs.
Yeah, well, it's 2 different pictures of the same being that was behind me. But yeah, like I said, I just snapped 2 pictures over my shoulder like a selfie, but I did it over my shoulder, not at me. And that was what came out that I didn't even know until the next morning when I took a look. But yeah, so
That is wild. You can see a face in that.
Yeah.
There's 2 faces. If you look at the upper left, like
Up here.
Hillary was saying.
Yeah, you can see it. It looks like a male face right here.
Oh, I can see it. Yeah.
yes,
eyes and
I
one
see
down
it
here.
too. I see it
Look at
too.
the image on the right, Jerry.
Yeah, I can see something
It
here
looks
too.
like an open mouth.
Yeah, hold on.
Yes.
I got to get to the picture because I'm looking at my cursor through a different screen. Right here, looks like a male face, and then
I
you
can't
come down
see it.
here.
I felt it was male. I did
female.
feel that
Yes.
whatever being was behind me was male. I did. And there was no telepathy. There was nothing. I just felt like somebody was on my tail all night long and kept almost breathing down my neck, only it wasn't probably breathing. I don't know for sure.
Wow. That's pretty interesting.
And that happens to me. I feel other beings quite often. My roommate's brother passed, and I literally saw him in her house twice, literally. And at one time I thought it was her, and I went running after her to tell her something, and nothing was in the room. It turned out it was her brother.
Well,
So I do feel invisible things sometimes.
You're not the only one, because again, I watch a lot of these podcasts like this, and I've heard a lot of the same things you were talking about come out from other people and say, have the same abilities you have. Everything that you've discussed with us tonight, I've heard other people mention, something very similar. And it's really weird when you start to think about it. It's a lot of people, and maybe there's a calling, maybe there's a reason, and well, we'll probably never know that reason, but it's just so interesting to me that
if I can
Especially
find the answer while I'm alive, I'm going to let it out, you know.
Well, maybe you're just not supposed to. Maybe your answer comes after you're not here. You know, and I don't want to
Probably.
be mean about it, but
Everybody has
after
to
you
piece
pass,
it together.
Maybe.
you'll find out, you know, what you were, why you were here, and why you had the abilities that you had. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You know, again, I'm not an expert at anything. I've never had any experiences like you've had, except for the orb thing, but not in the way that you've seen them. So, you know,
Well, I've only gotten to 6 or 7 stories. I have 16, and I don't think we're going to be able to do them all tonight.
Kumbo.
We're 2 hours
You might
in.
have to invite me back again.
Oh, ain't no might about it. Yeah, you'll be back.
Yeah, I have quite a few more. Yep, I still have quite a few more.
We're going to have to do a checklist. We're going to check off. So we know.
he has.
Well, I had to watch the other video earlier. Well, I guess it was last night I watched it or was it this morning? Anyway, I had to watch it again to remember what I did or didn't talk about so that I could give you some new stuff, you know.
I take notes of every show, and
Oh, good.
I'm not the greatest note taker, so I have notes from the last show, but it looks like I just threw up on the page.
You're a better note taker than I am.
Well, a lot of it there's
over here.
A lot of it there's words, and then I draw a stick figure on top of it, and yeah, I'm you know.
Wow.
But I have 2 pages of notes now, so
Okay. Okay. Well, like I said, I still have front and back of a list here.
hey, I'm willing to do 3 or 4 pages. So yeah, we'll definitely.
Well, I don't know how long. I don't know how long this has been running. I haven't been paying attention.
We're at 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how about if I tell you about a tree that talked to me real quick, and then that can be the last one for tonight?
Sounds
Okay.
beautiful.
How about that one?
That works.
I think I told you I hiked all the mountains out west and went on BLM land and went everywhere I could investigate the forests everywhere for over 5 years with one of my ex-boyfriends. And I was out in the high Sierras, and we had a roommate with us. Joanne was with us, and my ex, and he wandered off to go meditate or something, and she was somewhere else. And I'm standing around, and I'm just loving nature, just being relaxed. It's broad daylight, and we're out. I believe we were in BLM land, but it was in the Sierras. And all of a sudden I heard a tree, and I'm surrounded in trees. You got to understand, this is the Sierras, right? But this one tree said, "I have a surprise for you."
Yeah, it's definitely a surprise.
I'm
You
looking
caught
around, you know,
surprise, yeah.
kind of like, okay, which tree? I knew which one. I mean, it was loud and clear. So I walked over to the tree, and I get up close to the tree, and it said it again. "I have a surprise for you." And I look around, and I see 2 rocks, just 2 rocks down at the base of the tree, just, you know, rocks. So I pick up one. For some reason, I just had this urge. So I picked up the one, and I looked, and it was just a rock. So I put it right back where I found it, you know, and then I picked up the other one, and on the outside, it looked like the other rock, you know, they looked the same. But when I picked it up, now again, we're on BLM land. We're not in a campground. We're not where people should be. We're not where children would have been, probably. I mean, possibly somebody might have camped there with children. I don't know, but regardless. So I pick up this other rock, and there is a painted rose, like a child painted a flower on this rock. I have a picture of it. I'll have to send that to you too. So I looked at this, and I have this beautiful painted child, you know, like a child painted a rock. And I went, "Oh my gosh, you do have a surprise for me." And I took a picture of the rock. I took a picture of the tree. I hugged the tree, of course, and thanked it and thanked the good Lord above. And then I put the rock right back where I found it. And so there's a strong telepathy right there with a tree. I mean, out of the whole forest, this one tree had a surprise for me.
Wow.
Jeff
And,
hugs trees too. So
You had a
family does.
chance. You
I
love
like I
the
said,
tree.
it's somewhere in my pictures. I have so many pictures. It's hard for me to, I don't have them organized, and it's hard for me to find things sometimes, but I
That is
did. I took a
cool.
picture of the rock with the little child's painting of a rose and the tree.
That
Interesting.
is really cool. That is really
Yeah.
cool.
So that's something that happened while I was out in the nature and out in, I've been, like I said, I've been out everywhere on the West Coast I could get myself to, and I still have one mountain to get to, Mount Whitney, at some point. So I have to keep going.
Yeah, gotta keep going.
That's a big one.
Come up with some money, get me back out there and get on that mountain.
Yeah. Cool.
But
I think
yeah,
if you wrote a book or 10 or 20, you would have plenty of money to do that.
I do need to do that. Thank you.
Yes.
Just write all your stories
should.
down.
You should.
I
Each
have
story,
to.
a chapter.
And I do believe I'm coming to the end of the Sasquatch story enough that now I can make it the final chapter. I do believe I'm coming to the end of it finally. But it has been going on most of my life. And like I said, since I've been to Florida and I've had 3 clans connect with me, plus these orb beings, plus all these other things that have happened here. So yeah, it's time to get that last story put together. So now once I get it put together, I'm not very good at putting things in order, so I kind of bounce around just like I do here when I'm giving a talk. You know, it's whatever comes to my mind goes into the chapter. So I may need an editor, but if not, I will put it out as is, and people will just have to follow me.
I don't know if I can pronounce that word. Can you pronounce that, Chad?
Looks like, have you ever been to Esquetti Ranch?
Esetti Ranch. I know I have not been. Well, I have been by there. I have actually driven by there, but you have to be. I thought you had to be invited to go there. Jim, I think Jim. What's his? I can't think of his name that owns it. Anyway, then when I was out there near it, it was when COVID hit.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and he wasn't letting anybody on the property that was vaccinated or anybody, I forget if it was vaccinated or unvaccinated, but whichever way he was going, I think it was unvaccinated, which I'm unvaccinated. But anyway, you had to get you had to get permission to come on his land. But I did drive by, and I drove by Joshua Tree, and hunted all around out there too. So I've been close. Yeah, I've been right by it, but not there officially. Yeah.
James Gilliland.
Gilliland.
James
Gilliland, Gilliland, or however you say his name.
That's right.
Gilliland, I think.
I see we have an LBL participant in chat tonight.
Yeah, Patricia.
Mr. Patrick Noble. I believe so.
Good afternoon, Mr. Patrick.
Cool.
Hi, Patrick.
Uncle Pat has made it to the chat.
And there's Hillary.
Yeah.
I haven't really looked at the chats because I didn't want to get my mind on something else. I chase rabbits as it is.
You don't have time to get your mind on something.
Chase rabbits.
I do have ADD, so I do chase rabbits. Maybe that's part of my gift. I'm not sure, but so yeah, that happened. The tree absolutely said, "I have a surprise for you," and shook me up because, like I said, there was thousands of trees around me, but this one particular tree spoke to me.
Picked you out.
All the trees. You got to stop by the one that's going to talk to you.
All the trees in the forest.
And again, this was BLM land. It didn't seem like a child would have been there. It wasn't a campground. We drove off into these crazy little roads. Sometimes we'd have to back up and get out of there because, it would go nowhere. Some of them were service roads. We just go as far as we could go, just to get into what we considered more like virgin land. We wanted to investigate. And so that's what we did for 5 years. Every weekend, just about, we went somewhere in some forest.
That's good. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love those experiences. And that's why I say I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pictures, and they're just not organized so that I can find them too easily.
The only person I know that can talk to a tree and get a reply. So that's awesome.
Did you happen to get the name of said tree?
No, I didn't. I was just so shocked. I mean, broad daylight. We're just out hiking about. I mean, I hadn't even thought of Sasquatch. I hadn't thought of anything or anybody, or, wasn't thinking space. I just wasn't thinking of anything. I was just relaxed and enjoying the beauty around me. And loud and clear, I have a surprise for you.
As long as it doesn't go by Pine Knot, we're okay.
Yeah.
Because if so, it's in chat sometimes. So.
Well, that would make things awkward.
Very interesting.
I've been told I can talk to a
actually
wall.
try to find some of my better orbs and better pictures. I do have many, many more of crafts I've called in than the ones I sent you on that little video. I probably have at least 100 or so. So I'll find.
Go ahead and book her for about 5 more shows, Jeff.
I probably can only do a couple more, but at 2 hours each anyway. Well, I do have another good story for you, but I don't know. I think I should save it for the next time.
What is Hillary? Who
I
had
was
plants talk to her after she ingested? Yeah,
Osaka.
Oscar.
Oh, I was not on any mushrooms at that point. I was not on anything at that day other than maybe some vape. I don't remember. Because I used to grow for the state of Oregon. I was legal for the state of Oregon to grow for 12 cancer patients, and I would grow well over 100 trees. And I say trees because they're over. I have a picture of me with my hands up standing. I was 5'7". I'm shrunk now, but I was 5'7", and you can see the tree way up over me. So it's about probably close to 20 foot in height of these trees that we grew. We grew them in 500-gallon bags. So you can imagine how big they got. And
right.
Yeah, I'm quite gifted at growing. I did that for a few years for the state of Oregon. So I do have a connection with plants and trees. And I have another story where I was indoor growing in Sacramento, and I had a 2-car garage full, and I had 3 bedrooms full. So I had a
it sounds like you had some fun at times.
Well, it's my gift. I have a green thumb. I have to use it, and I like making medicine.
Used to have a green thumb.
I like making medicine and helping people. Yeah, I like.
If it's
I like helping
possible, I
people.
lost my green thumb.
Well,
I try to keep my ferns alive all winter, but I end up usually having to buy new ones to hang up in the spring because by the time,
Well, I'll let this be my last story for tonight. But anyway, I had these beautiful flowers growing all over this house, and we rented this big, expensive house, 4-bedroom, 3-bath home with a 2-car garage just to grow. Okay. And I was growing indoors illegally at this point because I'd left Oregon and I hadn't gotten legal in California yet. And I'm saying it, guys, I'm putting it out there. I broke the law. But anyway, I was growing, and I had at least 110 plants in the garage. I don't know how many indoors, but quite a few, wall to wall, as much as I could. And I had about $150,000 worth of equipment. All blessings from people that helped me, just helped me. Anyway, so one day I was playing the 4-3-2 music for them, to helping them grow. You've probably heard that. Heals and anyway, plants like this. Okay, so I was playing frequencies, and I also found a channel on the station that was like a beautiful jazz music, but it was all music. It was instrumentals, and I would put that on once in a while for my plants, and leave it on in the morning. And while I was working with them, I'd keep it on, playing throughout the day. Well, this one day I'm in there, and I'm in this is where my junior plants are. They're still in the growing phase. They're not in bud yet. So they're vegging. They're in the grow stage, and they're 5-6 feet tall. And I'm in this room, and I'm hearing the most beautiful music I'd ever heard. I'm hearing loud and clear, beautiful music. And I'm thinking, I got to go look at the radio station and see what's playing, because I've never heard this before, and it's beautiful. So I ran, I dropped whatever I was doing, and I ran to the radio to look at because it would say, it was Sirius XM, and it would say the name of the song. And it was, like I said, some jazz channel that I had it on. And I looked, and it wasn't even plugged in. I forgot to turn it on that day. The plants played music for me, and I'm serious. The plants were playing the most beautiful music I've ever heard. And I was shocked. So I went and I got I mean, it's. I went to go get the boyfriend for him to hear, but it stopped by then, so he didn't get to hear it. But he believed that it happened, and it did happen. So they connected with me in a loving way, showing me the love back that I guess I was giving to them. So yeah, that happened. That radio wasn't even plugged in, let alone on, and I was just listening to that. It was the most amazing instrumental. It was like heavenly music. It really was.
Oh wow.
So
See,
there's another thing with plants and trees. I can take that off.
That
the list
tree,
now.
that tree that talked to you is in chat right now. So
Oh, is it now?
yeah, I'm not Yoder. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, we can leave it there somewhere if you'd
Yes.
like.
Okay. Yep. We'll get you rescheduled here very soon, and we'll
I'll
round
hang
3.
on to the list until the next time. Like I said, there's still a few more things on there. And if I can remember some more things, I'll add, because like I said, the thing with the truck came up. I had totally forgotten about that for many years, but it came to me the other day. So
Okay.
whatever was running beside our truck.
Yeah. Interesting stuff. Talking trees.
Talking
And
trees,
musical
talking
plants.
plants that play music. Absolutely
awesome.
play music.
You've been around any trees lately, Yoder? I want to talk to you. Anyway. All right, that's great. Jeff, wake up.
Yes.
We're Jeffrey. Oh, he's awake. He's still awake. Okay. All right, yeah, for sure. We'll get you rescheduled. Wow. 2 hours and 17 minutes, and I don't even think we touched half our list. So almost.
Well, it didn't seem like that long, to be honest with you.
No,
It didn't.
no,
It
no,
didn't
no.
to me either. It didn't to me either.
Yeah.
We still have 1, 2, 3, 4. We still have about 6 more good
Okay.
experiences for next time.
Yeah.
Maybe
Awesome.
more, like I
Okay.
said.
Yeah, there'll be more.
Get some more of those good pictures. Those were
Yeah.
really good.
I'll do my best. Like I said, I've changed phones twice, and somehow when they update or upgrade or whatever, they throw my things around, and so yeah, I have a little hard time finding and locating. And I'm not very techie, so I don't really know how to put them in albums yet. But I'll get there, maybe.
Okay.
But if not, I'll find them for you before the next time.
Okay.
I'll send you some better ones because I have those and much more. So.
Okay.
Cool.
Perfect. Sounds like a good time coming up again for round 3, folks.
Absolutely.
Keep your eyes
Let's
peeled.
go for it.
Keep your
I
eyes
enjoyed
peeled.
listening to her.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank
she
you.
has more.
I do have more. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely be, and it's going to be soon. I don't want it to linger on. I want to get her back on here. So,
Well, thank you. Thank
I think
you.
next week we're going to do a post LBL deal. He doesn't know it yet, but we're thinking Patrick Noble and 1 or 2 other people would come on. But sorry, Patrick, you didn't know that. But we of course Chad's going.
Well, I'll be here. Yeah.
So we'll have a couple people. We'll have a couple. Well, you can be.
Yeah, Chad, you want to be a guest?
You're going to be a guest.
I'll try. I've never been a guest before. My nerves will kill me. Of course.
It's not hard.
But, we look forward to hearing about LBL, and maybe the following week after that, unless Jeff's got something lined up that I don't know about, maybe we'll have Kathleen back.
I'm always working on something, Jerry.
Whether awake or asleep, Jeff is always working on something.
Same here.
He has an outer body experience.
There you go.
and
Yeah, I'll
gets
have
stuff
out of body guest experiences. I know who we got to get.
But anyway, again, good luck to those going to LBL, and be safe travels, and hope you guys get lucky out there.
done. Take it easy, guys.
Can't wait to hear some good information from there. So, and Jeff, your dad's surgery is in 2 days,
Tomorrow.
correct? It is tomorrow. Yes.
Good luck.
Yes, it
Prayers,
is tomorrow.
brother.
Good luck to him.
Prayers.
Prayers for him.
Yes.
And there's some other people going through some stuff with prayers to those as well. So, okay. I'm not going to, this is not a Southern goodbye. We're getting the hell out of here. So it's late. I got to get up early in the morning. So thank you again, Kathleen.
Thank
And,
you guys
Kathleen.
so much. I really enjoy you guys.
Probably plan for 2 weeks. We'll probably We'll probably
Okay, let me know. I'll
Yep.
get the calendar out.
Okay.
Okay.
Danny, all done? Good? Okay.
Done.
Oh, he's doing.
Blackie? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know what he's doing.
Okay.
Safe travels, Blackie. You guys have
Thank
a
you.
good time, and we
Yeah,
look
we're
forward
gonna try to get
hearing
out of here about
big
10 in the
news.
morning tomorrow.
Chad, be careful, brother.
Okay,
Well, thank you.
absolutely.
We shall.
Hillary's going to send a life-size cardboard cutout to the LBL.
Of myself to be.
So.
Make sure you still make sure you wire its mouth shut. So I'm kidding, Hillary.
I'll have to take my throwing axes then.
Oh, ouch,
Whoa.
man! Can you feel the love? Good Lord of mercy. All right, Jeff, you all done? Do we need to write another chapter of the novel after tonight, or?
I'll see if I can stay awake long enough to write it.
All right. All right, everybody. We appreciate you
Yeah,
being in
everybody.
here. Chat was a
Kathleen.
little off tonight. I don't know if it was due to people packing and headed for LBL or
Yeah, a lot of those names that are missing are going to be there. So probably.
yeah, thinking so. But there is a technical glitch with StreamYards, and they did warn us when we came in backstage about it. So that you may not be able to have logged in to watch the show. So that could
And
be a
some
part
people
of it.
were asking me saying they didn't see it. So
Now there you go. It could be.
Well,
All
that
right.
happened. I get real quick. I get messages for our show 3 days later. We just got your, notification. It's like,
Oh,
well,
my.
Yep. You always keep an eye on that, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe.
Yep.
Ring the bell for updates and all that good stuff.
Hillary,
And check
don't-
that from time to time because for whatever reason, YouTube does take that away from you. So
yep.
Hillary, don't take too much medication.
Drink some wine with it.
oh boy. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Good night.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
night.
Good night, Kathleen. Bye,
Good
guys.
night. Thank you again.
Night, guys. Be careful.